Yo, welcome back, everybody. So, I'm gonna give you a disclaimer now. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, so I got a nose strip on, so I can help me breathe a little bit. So, I try to get a little stuff in my system to help loosen up some of the stuff up there. So, I'm not feeling 100%, but hey, still feeling good enough to make a video. So today, we're looking at Serpa Designer. So I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he makes like a lot of different aquariums, a lot of different terrarium builds, and things like that. So yeah, we'll take a nice pretty look at whatever he's building today. So I've never seen it, so hey, we're all looking at it together. So let's go ahead and get started.
This is my Guppy aquarium. It's a low-tech, no-filter pond-style setup with a
nice.
massive footprint relative to the tank's
beautiful,
volume.
man.
In the span of just 100 days, life has flourished, new animals have moved in while others await introduction, and this aquatic world has become unrecognizable. It's been
So I want to go ahead and say right now that no filter build not only takes a substantial amount of knowledge to like figure out all the things in the ecosystem that work together, but the maintenance, like, jeez. I know he does this for a living though, so like he knows what he's doing. But if you tried like a no filter build your first time around, I don't know if I'd recommend it now. I don't know.
fascinating for me to observe, and I'm excited to share that journey with all of you.
But it does look good, man. You know, he's like real wood and everything.
After making countless aquariums over the years, I usually know what to expect. What surprised me here was how quickly the plants grew in. They filled in seemingly overnight, which was unexpected. After all, it's a low-tech system, and I hadn't done anything out of the ordinary. The conditions must have been right for life to thrive, because within just a few weeks, it already needed a significant trimming.
Like,
A goal I
it's a
had
pretty
for
big
this
tank.
tank
What's wrong with
was
these
to use
trimming
as
so
little
fast?
visible substrate as
you got a
possible
whole lot
through
of
a
room.
dense forest of plants. The first step to pulling this off was by trimming and transplanting rotala
he's
cuttings.
trimming and placing what he trimmed
Another
down.
goal
I
which I
gotcha.
designed into the tank itself was easy access. The footprint and 360-degree view play a huge role in that. Honestly,
Thing is
maintenance isn't usually
first
my
off, that thing
idea
is
of fun,
massive,
but I
y'all.
find
I
it
don't-
very enjoyable and cathartic in this tank. Even so, I have to be mindful
That's
of
like a
curious
centerpiece
fish while
if you want to
wielding
be in
the
your if you're on
shears.
if you want to be
Easy
in your
enough, I
house.
suppose, but netting out debris without getting a fish in the process is a different story. They're always so engaged with what I'm doing that they're oblivious to the net. Well, that is when I'm not introducing new friends. In that case, they immediately swarmed, greeted, and welcomed them into the fold. They were equally curious about these shrimp. Maybe it's the designer in me, but since I already have robust colonies
Yeah,
of
and
cherry
the
and
bottom
yellow
feeders,
sakura shrimp, it only
help with
made
algae and
sense to
stuff like
complete the
that.
primary colors with blue velvets. They quickly disappeared into the forest, and it would be some time before I'd see them again. The newcomers weren't in the tank for long before it was ready for another.
Let me ask y'all: have any of y'all ever actually build like an aquarium and like sustain life? Like I know a lot of us, like myself, like we've done like, we have an aquarium, but like put like one or two different type of fish in there, and like we just let it do its thing. But like, have you ever like built an actual like ecosystem? If you have, let me know in the comments and like let me know what you put like actually in your aquarium, because I'm interested to know. And hey, hopefully this helps you on whatever you're building, because you can add some more different types of animals in there.
Another trim. I'm usually not this involved with the progression of plants so early on, but I'm glad I was. Making constant adjustments helped me connect with this aquarium. Being swarmed by a herd of guppies certainly didn't hurt either. Anyway, I had only adjusted Rotala to this point. That's because it took longer for the other plants, like Pogostemon and Hygrophila, to settle in enough
I
to
have
follow
no idea
suit.
what those plants are. I ain't gonna lie to
Regardless,
you.
the process was the same. Trim and replant the stems to thicken the forest. This was also when I decided to add more plants, like Kabamba. I think it helped introduce
Kabamba.
delicate textures that were lacking from the initial selection. However, not everything was perfect.
I've always wondered what the
There
difference
is
is
an issue with
between
this tank
these.
that I noticed a day after I uploaded the video. This corner isn't perfectly aligned.
I didn't panic because I knew silicone's flexibility is part of what makes it ideal.
But yeah, what I was gonna say is like I'm kind of curious what the difference between like all of the type of vegetation he's putting in there, because I want to know, like, does it make a difference what you're putting in? I have no idea. Hopefully he explains it.
For assembling glass aquariums. That said, I had to determine whether this was due to water pressure or an assembly mistake.
Hopefully it's not.
Naturally, I
water pressure.
couldn't find anything from the footage. However, when I zoomed in on the pictures I took, although faint, you can see it. That didn't really answer my question though,
it's
so I
probably
drained the
assembly.
tank to see if the glass shifted under lower pressure.
Which
It didn't
probably
move
did.
at all, which alleviated any concern
Probably
I had,
assembly.
though I figured I should still do something. Initially, I planned to Euro brace the perimeter, but I wasn't fond of the look. Instead, I settled on these sleeve-over shower clamps. However, the seam was in their way. Since I'll
Yeah.
never fill the tank this high, and it doesn't provide any significant strength, I removed it without hesitation. I genuinely don't know if these clamps are necessary at all, but at least they don't look half bad. Anyway,
don't
I
look bad.
applied a generous amount
I
of
think it's pretty cool,
silicone,
actually.
pressed them onto the glass, tightened the bolts, and removed the excess.
Yeah.
Naturally, my buddies, who were increasing in number, eagerly oversaw the
They
entire
were like,
process,
"Hey,
making
is
sure I
that
did a
food?
good job.
You gonna
The
drop something in
environment
for us?
remained unaffected by all of that as time continued. In fact, it was ready for another trim and a more significant adjustment. I wanted to make room for other plants in the center of the tank. I carefully moved a lot of Rotala to different locations, including the very edge of the glass. Then I trimmed the Kabamba, which was going wild, and the Pogostemon,
Now, so you gotta
replanting the
replant that.
cuttings in the now open space. I was also curious how dwarf hairgrass would take, so I decided
How
to
is he
add
placing
some.
so much?
Immediately
Like, isn't it gonna
after,
take
I
up like a
realized the
bunch
shrimp
of
had
room?
emerged to inspect what
Like,
I'd
I know he
done.
has a really
That was
huge
the first time
tank,
I'd
but,
seen
like,
one since their introduction.
You still only have so
The
much room you can grow
Hygrophila
things in.
pinnatophyta, which was slower to establish, was finally ready to be reworked a month later. I had also been experimenting with this parrot's feather. It took better than I expected, but I had to remove some of the accent branches to make room for it and the expansion of the lily pads. Doing so created space below, which I filled with other trimmed plants.
Between then and now, I took the longest break thus far from adjusting things inside this tank to focus on completing the new Ancient Ruins setup and to recover from being sick.
Oh wow, that's
All
that's
that's
a
to
massive
say,
change.
I was
All
eager
right.
to create these
It's
before
like
and
a
after
it's like a
clips
nice
when I could.
forest at this
The
point. with-
comparisons astounded me
You made-
because
you
even
pretty
though
much
I
made
knew
like
it
a-
had grown,
pretty much
I
like a
didn't realize it was
forest, I
this
think.
dramatic. It truly was night and day from its start in
not even a
October,
forest.
though
It's-
it
it
did
is
need
like
a
a
trim.
it's a nice pond.
When I call this a pond-style tank,
Yes,
that
you
refers
would.
to viewing it from above, like a pond. That's one of the main ways this is meant to be enjoyed, and in my opinion, it doesn't disappoint.
Now, I don't know if y'all ever actually watched pond videos where, because I know he's actually made a pond before, and he just like let random animals come in, and like the whole pond was taken over by frogs, and like you look at these lily pads. My first thought was, man, I wonder if he's gonna put something else in here like sits on top of them, but probably not because it's indoors. But hey, just a thought.
Overseeing the fish swim under the surface, plants, and through the forest is a joy. The typical view is nice as well, but there's a certain vibrancy I feel can only be appreciated from a top-down view. However, not everything looked good from this perspective, like plants with holes.
Yeah,
I'd remove
that's
them
not a
while
big deal,
adjusting the
though.
forest below. This is probably where most of the changes occurred, though the view had become obstructed by algae on the glass. Still, it could have been a lot worse after 3 months of build-up. That then begs the question, how do I maintain this tank? I'll show you precisely what that looks like before adding an
Well,
entirely new group of fish who have finally completed.
The only thing I would think is a lot of these plants are decomposing in the water, right? So like if they die off, they're decomposing in the water. So you have to find an animal that's one can eat like whatever is decomposing. And then you have to have bottom feeders to eat whatever they're pretty much pooping out. So you have to find something that's like creates the full cycle. As things are dying, you have to have something that eats it, and so on and so forth. Just so like that final process is going right back into the plants, so they can continue to grow. But you still have to put those those animals in there. Like you can do things like he had shrimp in there. You can do like snails, bottom feeders. There's a lot of different like things that you can add in that really can assist on that. But let's see what he's gonna do.
Their time in quarantine. You've seen part of what I do already, and that's where we'll begin again by trimming the Rotala. The thing with most of my other tanks is that they don't take very long to maintain, even on trim days. However, I always tend to underestimate how long this one takes. That's because I end up with hundreds of cuttings each time,
kidding.
all of which have to be returned. Thankfully, this is one of the last times I have to fill in bare substrate. From here, I'll use the cuttings to thicken existing patches, or pull them from the system completely. I don't know why, but these adjustments always seem to act like a magnet drawing the guppies in. Immediately, they want to be a part of whatever I'm doing. Now, I don't mind, but it does complicate the process a little. Anyway, I completed all of this in about an hour, and from there, it was smooth sailing. I removed the unsightly
Yeah,
leaves
but
from
you're
the
not going to put
lilies
just
or those
you're not going to put just
with
like
odd-growth patterns.
normal plants into a
This
normal
also
tank. There has
ensures
to be
they don't
things
block
like
too much
feed
light from
nutrients
the
to
other
it. Like they have
plants. The Kabamba, for example, had become
they have
scraggly
like
as it reached
they have
around
like some
the
like
lilies to get light. Most
nutrition
of its
bags.
stems had to be
Yeah,
trimmed
some like
and
substrate, some
replanted to achieve a
subsoils and
better
things like
look.
that that you can put underneath.
I did the same for the wisteria.
Underneath your
What I was
rock,
actually most
which
intent on
does help
doing,
with
though, was scraping the
creating
glass.
that nutrient.
I
That
gotta say, I've
nutrients.
used every scraper on the market, but nothing beats a simple razor. Sure, there's room for error, yet with a steady hand, they quickly and effectively complete the task. I must have grown accustomed to the foggy view, not realizing how much the algae obscured it. However, I knew that a water change from this apparatus would help too. I made it by combining a filter return, a vinyl tube, and a sponge. I like using it because it automatically drains the water to the level I want while protecting the fish. This gives me time to start netting out debris, though I usually don't get very far before refilling. Also, I realized I hadn't filmed the previous water changes, so I should probably mention that this was the 4th time I've done so since setting up the tank. Thankfully, I'm on a well, so all I have to do is match the temperature and fill it up. No need to treat for...
Nah, I'll say, you do have to have... You can't just put normal water in the tank without treating it. Like, you can kill off a bunch of fish like that. So you do have to have... One, like you said, it has to be the right temperature. It has to be like the right type of environment. You can't just put normal water in a fish tank and expect for your fish to survive.
Chloramine or anything like that. Then I finish netting up debris and clean the glass. On a side note, I like using these retractable shrimp nets. The small profile makes it much easier to work with an escape and around the livestock. The riparian plants don't require as frequent trimming, but their time had come as well. Most had acclimated to life in water quite well. So aside from removing a few wilted leaves or those blocking light, I didn't have to do much. That is until I got to the cotton candy fern, which told a different
It's almost
story.
like it's dying
It
off.
is putting on new growth, but its start clearly wasn't as smooth as the others. So aside from the time it takes to adjust the
trimming off all
plants,
that,
it's a pretty
the
straightforward
excess.
process.
So that's kind of like dying. Just leave everything that's healthy.
After all of that, it looked even better than it had before. Though I think it will likely be at least 3 more months until the tank appears as I imagined it on day 1. Regardless, I'm pleased with its progress, and even more excited to finally add this school of pygmy corydoras.
Ooh. I'm honestly not gonna lie, I have no idea what those fish are, but hey, we're here. We're here to figure it out.
There's always something so magical about seeing fish enter a new home. Here the cories rested on the plants, curious about the environment they now found themselves in. Before long, the guppies showed up as well, interested in who these new fish were. This helped give some perspective to how tiny these pygmy cories truly are. Eventually they began filing out into the aquarium, finding other places to rest, before inevitably disappearing into the forest. That's one of the things I enjoy most about this tank. With double the usable footprint of a standard 100-gallon
no
tank,
kidding.
it just has a way
Thing
of
is
enveloping these
massive.
nano-species. That adds a layer of discovery that makes it feel more natural, at least to me. Also, I feel that the cories were the best possible
No, I feel like he
addition.
has snails
The
in
way
there
they
from those
show around the
shells.
scape together
They have to be.
is
There have to
simply
be some
beautiful.
snails in there.
I'm also excited for when the shrimp start to take over because right now I almost never see them. Both are viewer recommendations, so I'm curious to know, what else do you think would do well in this tank? I knew I'd enjoy this when I made it, but I didn't expect it to become one of my favorite fish tanks I've ever made. As I said in the build video, to me, it's the perfect aquarium. Not that I actually think it's perfect, but that it perfectly showcases
looks
what an
amazing.
aquarium should be. An underwater
I can
paradise
kinda
where
agree with
aquatic
that.
life can live carefree while being enjoyed in wonder. Having worked with it for a few months now, I'm beginning to rethink much about how I make aquariums. I don't know what...
I know, looking at it, like, it is a outstanding aquarium. For me, though, like, I've seen, like, a lot of his previous builds. I've never seen this one until now. But a lot of his other builds that I really enjoy, it's like a full, like, cycle. So, like, you have predators, you have prey, you have things that feed the whole environment, the whole ecosystem that he's really creating. But I do really like this. It looks fantastic. It looks like something that you would have, like, a standard home. Not so much like a creator of, you know, those type of systems. So, yeah. For anybody that has an idea or wants to do something like this, hey, go to this guy. He will give you some fantastic ideas, and he'll give you a lot of good information, especially when it comes to how to create tanks, how to maintain, your aquariums, your type of fish, whatever you have, and even get you some good plant ideas too.
What that looks like in practice, but one of the nicest things about this tank is the fact that it's low tech and thus silent. I don't know why, but as I get older, I'm growing fatigued with the constant hum of filters or splashing. That's a discussion for another time though. For now, I'll say that the journey with it so far has been very enjoyable. As many of you know, I generally don't make updates this quickly. It usually takes longer to develop a compelling narrative that captures the full perspective of what's happened. But I couldn't help myself with this one. I hope you all enjoyed it as well. I'll link up the original build video if you want to see exactly how I made it.
Yeah, so I highly recommend it. Like, that was a fantastic looking tank. If you all want to continue like watching some tank builds, watching other type of builds for vivariums, or watching like nature stuff, or we go to technology, honestly, I'm gonna watch whatever I'm interested at the time. But like, if you all have any recommendations, let me know, because we can always react to them, look at them, find some inspiration with them too. But yeah, I hope you all feel fantastic for the rest of your all's day and tomorrow, and hopefully you all stay safe over this coming week, because hey, these snowstorms will be hitting. So be safe and take care.